full of stats.
Engage Vernon.
I'm your new wingman.
We will win because we have.
Welcome to CommLink.
Hello and welcome to episode number 17 of the CommLink Podcast. I'm Stubb, and as always, I'm joined by Silvius. How you doing, buddy?
I'm great, man. Ready to dig into some master modes, and man, we got a lot of stuff to go over today.
Yes, we do. Really excited to dig into this one. Before we get started with the show, a couple things. First of all, thanks for everyone that's been checking us out on YouTube. So in the time between this episode and our previous episode, we cracked 100 subs on YouTube, which we're really excited about. For those of you listening on Spotify, if you would, go ahead and be sure to leave a 5-star review if you've been enjoying the show over there. Because that would help us with the algorithm on the Spotify side of things and help us get to more Star System players who would maybe also like to partake in the conversations that we're having over here at CommLink. In addition to that, too, real quick plug for our socials. So both Instagram and Twitter are at CommLink Pod. And if you join us over there on Twitter/X, the post at the top of our page pinned there has giveaway details for a Cutter Rambler with LTI. And again, thanks to everybody just in general for checking out the show, for leaving comments on the videos. We're always interested in what you have to say about the game as well. And it helps us to continue our own conversations that we're having here. So yeah, big shout out to everybody just in general for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks everybody for leaving comments on that last podcast episode. We've enjoyed hearing your thoughts on stuff. Yeah.
Distribution Center's got a lot of chatter going, and it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun.
Yep.
All right, so before we dig into the meat and potatoes of our episode today, for anyone who was curious about CitizenCon this year, maybe missed the announcement. There was some speculation that it was going to take place in Manchester, and that has been confirmed. So CitizenCon is going to be taking place in Manchester on October 19th and 20th this year. So it's going to be another 2-day event. And I believe there was also some talk about there being some sort of associated event on the 18th, also in the Manchester area, but it's not technically CitizenCon, but it is CitizenCon adjacent. So I'm not exactly sure what that is. I don't think they've given full details yet either, but for those that are planning to attend, maybe plan to attend to get there a day early. Something to think about. Unfortunately,
you going this year?
I think I'll be there. No, I'm not going to be able to swing Manchester this year. But like we talked before, off air, maybe next time they have it in Austin, maybe we can make Austin happen. That wouldn't be too bad of a flight.
Yeah, I could make Austin or maybe LA again in the future. Just wasn't happening last year, and probably won't happen for Manchester unless one of us happens to win the lottery or something. So
yeah, for sure. And also just in my personal case, your boy would have to jump on getting a passport pretty quickly too, because I still don't have one.
Yeah. Oh, you got plenty of time. It's not until October.
Yeah. But anyway, so let's go ahead and let's dive into some Star Citizen talk here, shall we?
Yeah.
What do you want to cover first? We got a little outline going. Where we going to hit?
Roadmap and 322.1 live. Yeah, that happened this week.
Yes, it did. There's also a CommLink alert up on the YouTube and the Spotify available if anybody wants to go give that a listen. But yeah, some of the major things that were touched on, they removed ground vehicle spawning for freight elevators, specifically for 323. So the plan is that eventually freight elevators will be able to handle vehicles, but it will not in its initial release with 323. Kind of a bummer, but also not really a huge deal breaker for 323 for me. It is maybe not, what do I want to say? It's not unexpected that some things are gonna miss 323, and this seems to be the first casualty.
Yeah, I'm not that upset about it. I mean, we don't use ground vehicles a whole lot anyway right now. There's not a ton of uses for them. It would have been a nice, kind of convenience thing, but it's not the end of the world that it's not coming in the initial launch.
Yeah. And who knows, maybe it'll come with a 323.1 or something. So,
yeah.
But then, they also gave a lot of talk about new things coming to Arena Commander, and maybe one of the more exciting parts of that is the engineering experimental mode. And so I'll just quickly read off what they said real quick. So 3 limited test experimental modes featuring the engineering gameplay, also referred to as Resource Network, showcased at CitizenCon 2953, help shape the future of engineering gameplay in Star Citizen by testing and giving feedback to the features and balance showcased in this limited test before it hits the persistent universe. So engineering is coming with 323, not immediately into the PU, but it will be available for testing in some capacity on Arena Commander, which is pretty cool. A lot of people have been looking forward to engineering coming online.
Yeah, I personally really look forward to the resource management and engineering, because that's kind of one of the big things that's going to drive multi-crew gameplay, which is a big part of why I like Star Citizen over like something like Elite Dangerous, because when we used to play that I was always like, man, I really want to just get on my friend's ship and help run turrets or manage systems or whatever. And that sounds like a lot of fun to me. So yeah, there's the fact that it's coming to Arena Commander, we're going to get to test it a little bit. It's going to be cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to checking it out. I don't know how hard I'm going to go into engineering in general in the PU, but it'll be nice to get a feel for what they've been cooking up. Can't wait to shoot some more beams. Stare at the screen the whole time, but no, it's going to be interesting, right? To see, and I also wonder how long this is going to cook in Arena Commander, because one of the big sort of promises with Arena Commander going forward was that it's going to be used as a test bed for a lot of features. We saw that most recently with Master Modes. Master Modes was in testing on Arena Commander for quite some time, and still is as of the time of this recording. But I don't know exactly how many months it was on Arena Commander, but a handful of months, and now it's coming in 323. So is engineering also something that's going to cook for months on AC, or maybe it'll have a more expedient process of going from Arena Commander to PU? I'm curious.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Master Modes is one of those things where they kind of were testing it out, and now they're just kind of like slapping each ship into like archetype and tuning or whatever they're calling it, which we'll get into here in a little bit. But with engineering, it's more of in resource management. How many ships are ready for that? They have to have the relays, the components, access to the components. All this stuff has to be in place for these systems to work. So anything like, probably even MSR might be like the cutoff point. Anything from that beyond might be kind of okay for it. But yeah, they have all these ships that, some of them you can't even access the components in. So how long is it going to take them to bring that up to speed, or are they just going to kind of only have engineering available for a few ships when it goes live? We don't know what that's going to look like, but first we have to get it on our hands and try it first. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, because we don't even know the totality of what's actually going to hit Arena Commander. As of yet, like this was just announced with the roadmap roundup that this was happening, and they only details that they give is literally the couple sentences that I read just a couple minutes ago. So
yeah.
But yeah, in addition to that, both looking forward to getting our hands on engineering. Another big thing that a lot of people were excited about, myself included, custom lobbies, right? So custom lobbies, previously referred to as private matches, makes their return to Arena Commander. Utilizing the new front end and lobby systems, custom lobbies allow players to set up and play matches for any game modes on any map at any time with their own rules. So I'm pretty hyped for that as well. Being able to go in and customize things to your liking, I think is a good thing, right? And then also, these will hopefully they've talked a bit about this. I think back at CitizenCon, like how closed off this would be to the general population. Like, can you run lobbies that's just exclusive to people that you invite versus can people also join in on your lobby? I'm hoping that these can make for some nice, like truly private events. Like I want to make a point this year of playing with more people in Star Citizen and joining in on some of these community events. And I think custom lobbies is going to be utilized a lot in that regard. People trying to come up with fun events to partake in outside of the typical Star Citizen experience.
Yeah, maybe we'll get a little CommLink competition going on at some point this year if we can get enough people involved or something.
Yeah, that would be fun. Maybe get a custom championship belt. So also they talked about Grav Royale coming. So embark on high-speed mayhem and thrilling new game mode Grav Royale. Engage in intense vehicular combat across diverse maps, mastering your Grav Lab vehicles to outmaneuver foes and seize victory in this gravity-defying battle arena. I would definitely 100% check that out. Whether it's something I spend a ton of time with, who knows? Depends on how fun it is, but I'm definitely interested.
Yeah.
The maneuverability of ground vehicles is really what has me most apprehensive, just because some of them don't feel super great in game right now. So
yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, we haven't really heard anything about the cyclones and how they've been handling or any of that really. They've been working on the Gravlev stuff a lot recently, it feels like, but yeah, last time we took some cyclones out, it was rough.
Yeah. And then since we dove into the AC stuff, might as well mention the last bit here. New flight map, Miner's Lament. So Miner's Lament, previously exclusive to racing and part of the Master Modes test, now opens as treacherous, asteroid-laden, and expands to all flight modes, dogfight, and the chaotic beauty of Yellow's Ring for an intense, dangerous, close-quarters showdown. So that's cool that they're opening up that map to more game modes, but that's not, in my mind, as huge of a thing as engineering coming or custom lobbies on the way. It's still cool.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so we had the roadmap roundup this week. Also 322.1 is live on the PU right now. You can play it at this very moment. I played a little bit last night, not a ton, but a little bit. One of the big things with 322.1 that they've been making a big push for here on socials for the weekend is the Idris mission. So basically the premise is if you are playing, there's a possibility that you'll be on a server where an Idris mission will pop up, and that Idris is crewed by CIG devs, and the whole point is to try to board it and capture it.
Or it could be AI crew.
Or it could be AI crew, yeah.
Yeah, they did. I don't think in the initial post they said that, but one of the devs made a comment on the post saying not all the Idrises will be, fully crewed by devs. There are a few that were just NPC controlled.
Gotcha. Yeah, and like I said, I checked out a little bit of 322.1 last night, and that was essentially me server hopping, looking to see if I could get lucky and get on a server where there was an Idris mission that was popping off. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Also, in fairness, I didn't spend a ton of time waiting around. I probably was, looking for one for maybe half an hour, 45 minutes. Maybe if it was just a typical play session where I was just going to pick a server and play on it for a few hours, eventually it would have popped up. But I checked out. I did a region change, right? Checked out the USA region first, checked out a server there, then hopped over to Europe, checked out a server there, Australia, then Asia, and it didn't happen. But I am holding out some hope that maybe I'll be able to partake in it this weekend, because I do plan on hunting around for it a bit more. But yeah,
You're not a streamer,
essentially,
so I doubt it.
yeah, that's been a lot of the talk, right? Only the content creators are getting the Idris mission to pop.
Yeah, that's a little controversy around the event itself, and kind of the same thing as with the F8 event they did. You know, as soon as they announced this event, the Reddit crew came out of the woodwork and were like, "Oh, it's only streamers get to do it," and
yeah,
or whatever. But it's just the nature of it's not necessarily the streamers' fault or anything like that. It's just they have a large community, and that's pretty much what it boils down to. If you have a large organization, you're probably just as likely as getting in as a streamer. It's just how many people you know and how many people you have on your friends list. It's not like they're giving exclusive access to Burks or Mike or Space Tomato, or whoever it might be, to get into these servers. They're just getting lucky because they have more people on their friends list.
Yeah, that's the thing. So if you, and we talked about this a little off air, like if you are somebody and let's just throw out a number, 100 other people that play Star Citizen, and if a good number of them are online and they're spread out through different servers, but they're all talking in like maybe a Discord or on Twitter or wherever they're communicating, and one of them gets the Idris mission and they mention it to the others, you can just, assuming as long as there's an open spot on the server, you just switch to their server and then boom. It's not necessarily that just because you were the content creator, it was about knowing people and people spreading the word like, hey, I got one. Let's try to do this. You know what I mean? Like so-and-so's on a different server and they're looking for a crew to get together. So they're reaching out. And who do you think are the most likely to be reached out to? It's going to be popular streamers. And it's just, I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of see where people are coming from, but it's not an event aimed at streamers. I don't think it's clearly a bit of a marketing tactic. They put it out there, let people see the interior, get a bunch of hype for it. They put the Idris back up for sale on
it sold out in like 3 seconds. Or something crazy.
It was insane, but
evaporated.
I guess some people get a little bent out of shape when they give away. They're giving away an Idris for whoever can hold it the longest, and they're giving away another one for like the best 10-second video. And if you're not a content creator, if you're not a person that records everything and creates videos regularly, you're probably not going to win that 10-second video. It's that one's obviously geared a little more towards content creators, but stuff like holding it for multiple hours, that could be anyone. So kind of see where people are coming from, but in my opinion, I don't think they should give away one at all. Just the nature of the game right now, the servers getting filled up, people getting on there because they have 100 friends, whatever. But there's a couple of different ways they could have done it, but I'm not bent out of shape about it. It's fun for the community. It's fun for content creators, organizations to get in and do these things together. And we get to see the inside of an Idris.
It got me to log back into the game for the first time in a while. Right. Just on the off chance that I might get on a server where I get to fight one of these things and potentially board it.
Yeah.
On the off chance. Key word there, off chance, or key phrase. Like,
yeah.
I wasn't going in there like with this entitled sense of, well, they said the event's going on, so I better get one right away. And God damn it, Salty Mike better not find it before I do.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Imagine being happy for other people. They are lucky enough to be able to get some of this Idris action going on, right? I'm not talking about winning an Idris. I'm just talking about purely the gameplay content of this event. It sounds like a fun time. Like,
I would have liked to have seen something like that's maybe a little more accessible for smaller groups or solo players. Like maybe the devs come on a server and they're like, hey, we hid like 2 or 3 Idrises around on the server, go find them.
yeah,
And when you get there, they're crewed by NPCs and you have to board them and take them, and then you have the Idris or whatever. It's not just, oh, go chase down the devs for this Idris and only this one group of people can do it. But
right.
yeah, there's
I
different
have a
ways they could
question.
do these things. Yeah.
So I wonder, since the Idris interior, I guess, is in game now, because some people are able to board these and walk around the interior and check it out. Could you just do the same thing with the Eckhart mission Idrises? Could you just self-def them and board them, and they'll have the interior as well?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. But I don't know if those are counting towards the competition or whatever they have going on. So
No, just in terms of being able to get on board one, though. Like, I wonder if that's another way of doing it.
yeah, if anybody's done that since the 322.1 went live, let us know, because I'm curious about that myself.
Yeah. I kind of wouldn't mind trying to get that mission and finding out for ourselves. Could be fun for science. But anyway, so yeah, a little bit of controversy surrounding it. I don't know. It is what it is. It's Star Citizen. It seems like everything that they're doing these days is controversial. There's people always simultaneously cheering and booing just about on anything other than like the star map. I think we're all happy that the star map's getting an update.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm definitely happy for that.
Right. But you know what I mean? Like, it seems like so much of what's being talked about, not just with 323 coming up, but even currently in game now, like with this Idris mission, there's something's always ruffling somebody's feathers. So
Yep. That's just the nature of a crowdfunded game like this, I guess. Well, any game, people get bent out of shape about stuff, but
especially when they're passionate about it, right? So it's a double-edged sword. It's great that the passion's there because it means that people are playing the game and they're talking about the game, but also when they're not necessarily happy with something going on with the game, you're gonna hear that too. So let's see, what else we got. Oh yeah, master modes to talk about. Master modes. How you feeling?
Yeah,
about
so
them?
they put out that ISC this week, and I guess we got a little more information on them from what we've heard from like CitizenCon and stuff.
We did a react on the ISC, by the way. Check it out on the channel if you haven't already.
Yeah, but I'm overall feeling pretty good about them. I'm not the biggest, sweatiest PvPer out there by any means. So yeah, just slowing down combat, getting people from backstrafing, just spamming missiles the whole time, getting people like closer and everything. It all looks good. Taking the gimbal size down stuff away. Yeah, I'm excited for it.
I am too. And the way that they described it, it sounds like they're being pretty smart about it, at least in my view. They're putting all the ships into general archetypes from the get-go, from the start, first implementation of master modes. And then they're going back and they're more finely tuning individual ships within those archetypes. And they also said that, some ships aren't going to necessarily fit squarely into one archetype or the other. Like an example that was given on ISC was the Cuddy Black, because it's got a turret that's more like a heavy fighter, but the rest of the ship, not so much, right? So I don't know. I'm curious to see how long it's going to take for them to go through and give all of the ships their at least first initial finally to, like, I think ships are going to be constantly being balanced over the years, right? Like, that's not something that's necessarily going to change, especially as even more new ships are introduced to the game over time. Like, you're going to have to go back and tweak some stuff. um, to try to keep everything balanced. But still, how long does it going to take to go through already over 100 ships and get them finely tuned for the current master modes implementation? Um, it's
That's one thing I was worried about, when they
a big
put it
number,
in
man.
Arena Commander. Yeah. They did that most recent update where they added a few more ships like the Connie and I think a snub ship maybe. I can't remember what all was added, but I always thought they would kind of iterate, add a little more to AC, add a little more, fix those, see how those play, add a little more, and then eventually we'd have all of them done and then bring them over. But it sounds like they're just saying, screw it, we got to get it out there, and kind of giving every ship that archetype, and then they're just going to have to balance it from there.
Yeah. I think part of that too is probably has something to do with the number of people testing in AC.
Yeah.
I think they'll get way more data out of doing this more like generalized pass on everything, push it out to PU. And then since everybody's now in the master modes ecosystem, like they're going to get more and more significant data every single day that people are playing.
Yeah, and there's certain things they can't test in Arena Commander, like quantum jamming and stuff like that, and how haulers and miners and everything in between are gonna interact with pirates and PvPers and nav mode, combat mode, or whatever they're calling it now.
Right, because that's another thing that is important to keep in mind. Master modes isn't just affecting the combat ships; it's literally all of the ships, all of them.
Mm-hmm. And I think some people are, on the other side of the fence where they don't like master modes. They like the current flight model. They want it to stay the same or have a variation of what we have now. And I think master modes is a move in the right direction. And they did mention 1v1s weren't feeling great, but they didn't really say why. So yeah, I haven't really done any 1v1s in master mode. So if somebody in the comments knows, if you're a PvPer or have been playing with the master modes a lot, I don't really know what is keeping the 1v1s from being fun still or working out the way they want it. So sounds like they still have a little tweaking to do, a balancing and stuff with that. But I think that part of the community that does 1v1s and sweaty combat a lot is probably a very small percentage of the player base.
Yeah, I would think so overall. I had attempted a while ago when I was first trying out master modes on Arena Commander, the 1v1 mode, and I think I ended up dipping off of it after I connected to a couple matches, and then both people just left before it even started. The thing was like, all right, well, screw this. I'll go try the squadron battle or whatever instead. So all of my limited experience with master modes has been in fights that involve more than 2 ships. So I can't really speak to what people are feeling when it comes to those 1v1 encounters. But from my experience with master modes in those larger group battles, I think I like master modes more than what the current flight model is. I'm in favor of them making this change. I know there's a lot of people with the concern that it's going to make space combat feel a bit more arcadey, is some of the criticism that I've seen online. And maybe that's true on at least the initial release, but I would keep in mind that, master modes, like anything else, is going to continue to be tinkered with, and they'll make adjustments if they feel like they need to. So, definitely, if you are someone critical of master modes, keep, commenting with your concerns on Spectrum and such to make sure that they're aware. But from my vantage point, especially with all the jousting and the back strafing missile spams, I'll take master modes over what we got any day. Any day.
Yeah.
It might not be perfect, but I do think it's better.
Yeah, we haven't done bounty hunting in a while. But I remember when we would, a lot of the times, it would devolve into the fights. When you're chasing down criminals, sometimes, they're not necessarily people that are going to fight fair, which is fine. They're pirates, they're bad boys. That's to be expected. But just,
griefers?
No, but I don't know, just the back strafing at full, like it's back strafing as fast as you can go forward and just spamming missiles and fights, being kilometers apart and then jousting, and then, you're 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers plus away again in seconds. It gets frustrating, and having those fights where they have to fight us or run instead of just trolling, I guess. I don't know. It's all coming together, I guess.
Yeah, and another thing too, when we're keeping in mind Chris Roberts' grand vision for Star Citizen, remember he's a big fucking Star Wars fan. And the Star Wars combat is essentially it's space World War II dogfighting, and those encounters were pretty up close and personal. It wasn't fights going on from hundreds of kilometers, thousands of kilometers away. It's much closer engagements. And I'm not saying it's going to be, somebody's going to hear that and they're going to go, oh, well, Stubb thinks they're just going to put Star Wars combat in the game. Like, no, there's still going to be the Star Citizen physics and all that. I know it's not going to be exact, but you know what I'm saying. Closer engagement is the point here, like in Star Wars dogfights versus what we currently have in Star Citizen.
Yeah, like kind of more the classic sci-fi, like, BSG and Star Wars and all that stuff. The space combat is like, old World War II type dogfighting style, which if we were going for realism in our space sim game, we would be shooting at each other, thousands of kilometers away with rail guns and missiles, and you would never see the other player. So these slow speeds are it's space. It's space, and you should be able to go as fast as you want in theory, but in a video game, they have to make it fun too. So, Master Mode seems to be a move in the right direction towards having that closer combat feel, and people not able to win by exploits, I guess, if that's the way you see it. But
yeah. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. We'll see how it shakes out. They're going to continue to make changes as it goes forward. So again, definitely let CIG know your criticisms, and if they're fair and valid, they'll take that into consideration. But if they're, I don't know, it's still their game at the end of the day, right? We are backers. We have some influence on how they make this game. There is, community feedback that they take in, but also keep in mind that this initial version of master modes might be something that is part of the even larger Star Citizen picture that we're still not quite seeing yet, because we've only got, still our limited gameplay loops, our limited locations that we can go to. Like, my point is they're still building this thing out. Let's just see where they take master modes as the game continues to grow, and as players in mass, and not just the small sliver of people that are participating on Arena Commander, but all of the Star Citizens in the verse are able to start to give feedback, if they choose to do so, on master modes. Then we can really start to get ironed out anything that's like hugely problematic with master modes. But we got to get it in the verse. We've got to get it in thousands and thousands and thousands of players' hands to really start to have a full conversation about master modes as a community. Because right now, it's a lot of speculation, and it's a lot of talk from people that have played it in very limited capacities. Those maps aren't tiny, in Arena Commander. I don't want to give that impression. But compared to Stanton overall in the PU, these are little tiny maps that these encounters are taking place in. So we still need to see, to your point earlier, how this is going to play out when somebody's trying to disengage and jump away to another planet or moon or station or whatever it is they're trying to quantum away to. We still need to see all of those interactions play out, and we just haven't yet. And I'm sure they're testing that at CIG, behind the scenes, but that's still not nearly the number of people that are going to play it in PU to be able to get feedback and data.
If I had one concern about this first iteration of master modes is the no quantum boosting coming at the same time, because we haven't really seen what it's going to be like when you're trading or whatever and you get attacked and you have to get away, going from that combat mode or navigation mode, whatever you're in.
Yeah, I'm in a prospector, and then you show up in your hurricane or whatever, and all of a sudden I'm in deep shit. I'm trying to get away from you. What does that look like?
Yeah. So when quantum boosting is out, you should just be able to, oh shit, there's somebody that way. I'm going to go the other way full speed, and as soon as your quantum's ready to go, you can boost out of there in any direction. But now it seems like you're probably going to have the same problems you do now. You're going to spool up, and then you're going to have to flip around, find something to jump to, calibrate to it, and then jump. So people might not be able to get away as quick, and stuff like that. Which you're still going to have you're still going to be faster. You're still going to be able to jump when they can't jump if they're in combat mode. So it's not a huge concern, but I think once that quantum boost comes in, if anybody is concerned about, how am I going to get away from pirates or NPCs attacking me, whatever it is, I think that quantum boost is really going to help those people that want to disengage rather than fight.
Yes,
Which we might see a little more trouble with it here in the first iteration from those types of people. But hopefully the boosting comes in, next patch or two.
Yeah, I hope so. And not just for those combat scenarios, but just for getting around in general. Being able to quantum boost is going to be great.
I'm really looking forward to be able to, zip around planets faster or whatever you want. It's a simple thing, but it's going to add a lot to the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Other thing up on the docket that I see. Where the fuck are the Pyro and the Replication Layer preview channels? They seem to have disappeared. I know they had the Replication Layer test not too long ago that didn't go so hot. But it's been a while since we've had the Pyro preview channel back up and running.
Yeah, and nothing about it. Like when that last one went out, they're like, "Oh, we might have one over the holiday break or soon after." And what's today? The 24th of February. And we haven't heard a single drop of information about Pyro since the last preview in, what was it, December? So yeah, I really want to get in there and try it. Because I didn't get a chance to play it last time, and I was like, oh man, they're going to throw it back up in January or whatever, and I'll get to jump in there. If I'll subscribe again. I'll do whatever I have to do to get in and just check it out. But we haven't heard anything.
Nope. Not a word. So hopefully we'll get some more details on that soon. But this is the case sometimes with CIG. Things will be talked about and then radio silence for a period of time. I don't know.
I would be fine if they were just like, guys, there's a few more things we want to work in Pyro, work out some more bugs, and we might not see it for another 2 months or whatever it's going to be. Just let us know. Just let us know. We'll
tell us.
We'll be okay with it. Well,
Jared,
most of us will
you
be.
If you could let us know in the comments, Jared. Hook a brother up. Just a ballpark idea. Is there going to be one next month sometime in the next couple months? Because yeah, to your point, we're about to enter the third month of the year, and there still hasn't been another one. So I really want to get my hands on Pyro. I really want to help test it out. Honestly, like I'll go on Spectrum or whatever and give some feedback. But just let me in, as the meme goes.
Yeah, I would like to see it for myself and check it out. And shit, as far as replication layer goes, where is that also? Like, we haven't had any tests on that recently. And it's, they haven't said specifically whether or not replication layer is a requirement for any of these 323 items, like freight elevators or instanced hangars.
Oh, yeah.
Anything like that. They haven't mentioned whether or not that's tied together, which I think it might be. I'm not positive on that. Don't take my word for it, but it seems like the instancing of the hangars you would pretty much have to have the replication layer running for that. Could be wrong, but yeah, I'm a little anxious to see when we see the next tests and how it's going from last time.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get some sort of announcement soon. We'll see what happens, but I think a lot of people are in the mood for more Pyro, for those that did get to check out the earlier preview channels, and then those of us that either didn't have access to it at the time, or like me, like it just didn't work out with my schedule. I just didn't have the time to check it out. I had access, but it just didn't happen. So, but hopefully soon, TM.
Yeah, always soon.
Yes. Yeah. Anything else for this week that we wanted to sink our teeth into? Want to talk a little distribution center?
Yeah, we can a little bit. We talked about it. We just did the react to the Star Citizen Live where they did the Q&A. At the end of that video, if you check it out, we discussed some of our thoughts on them as compared to our last episode, which got a decent amount of hits and people talking about it.
Yeah.
But I'm feeling better about them after watching that Star Citizen Live.
Yeah. Our biggest point of concern was just going to be the overall balancing of the PvE and the PvP elements of distribution centers, or DCs. And it sounds like, based off of what they said on Star Citizen Live this week, we know that there's going to be 13 different distribution centers. And then among those, they're going to be pretty varied. Some distribution centers are going to be completely hostile to all players, whether they're lawful players or unlawful players. They don't want you going inside. Then other DCs are going to be more friendly to players, but within that group of DCs, there's going to be varying levels of security at them. Some of them are going to be incredibly high security DCs. Others are going to be a little bit more laxed. And then even beyond that, the safer DCs are going to be green zones, which our understanding is that means you won't be able to pull out a pistol. You won't be able to pull out your rifle. It's an armistice zone, right? So for anyone that is wanting to purely and only partake in some of, say, the salvaging gameplay coming with DC, some of the mining gameplay coming with DC, some of the cargo hauling gameplay coming with DCs, and you don't want to engage with PvP, and you want to minimize your potential for PvP, because keep in mind, it is still Stanton, and very few places in Stanton are completely safe. There is a security element, but I think in general Star Citizen terms, Stanton's considered more of like a medium security level system.
Yep.
So just by default in Stanton, you're never going to be completely away from PvP unless you just like never leave a landing zone or something. But there will be DCs available to those that are very averse to the idea of engaging in player versus player combat. And that, to me, and it seemed like you, based off of the reaction from the SEL, it's a good thing. I mean, it makes sense. It's a great way for them to introduce DCs and actually truly cater them to all types of players. And so once these hit, players are going to learn, okay, which are the more safe and, let's say, polite DCs, and then what are the spicier ones? What are the ones where things are more likely to go down into combat scenarios? So at this point, I don't have a lot of concerns with the DCs anymore, outside of just typical general Star Citizen concerns that I always have, like, what's the FPS going to be like in these things? How responsive is the AI going to be at these things? But as far as the balance of PvE versus PvP, it sounds like CIG already had that stuff in mind, but we just didn't have the full details of how that was going to be balanced out. And now we know a little bit more from SEL this week.
Yeah, the SEL answered a lot of our questions and concerns that we had, like the green zones with, not being able to fire your rifle inside or whatever, which I would, like to see them move away from eventually when, we have better reputation and better NPC security and stuff like that. I would like for them to move away from that.
And I think they mentioned that, right? That it's more temporary until the better law and order system is fully fleshed out.
All of this is, in the context of Star Citizen now, and in the future, it's probably going to be way different than what we have 3 months from now when we get the patch. Because, you're going to have the lawless systems like Pyro, you're going to have Terra where it's safe, you're going to have Stanton where it's medium security, where it's kind of a mix of both. And at last episode, I don't feel like we came off as quote unquote Care Bears, not wanting this PvP PvE interaction at these DC centers, because we do. We want that's one of my favorite parts of games, is interacting with other players and fighting them, going on an adventure with them, whatever. So yeah, don't get it twisted that we don't want these interactions, and we don't want people able to pirate, steal, murder, whatever. But there's a line that some people cross sometimes that doesn't need to be crossed, like pad ramming and stopping people from leaving their hangars repeatedly, stuff like that. That's griefing. Yeah, that's the line that can't be crossed.
And I think the terms with pirate gameplay and griefing might have got a little twisted in our look. It's a casual conversation, as a podcast. I think within the context of what we were saying, I felt like it was, you could still follow what was being said. But regardless, like you were just saying with the player interaction, I love PvP. I'm a big PvP guy. I'm not the best. I constantly get into fights that I will not win, but I even like getting into those. And you've played enough games with me, Silvius, to where I'll take on fights that I know I don't have a chance to win, but maybe I'll learn something from it. Still sharpen still, right? And I like the competitive elements of inside Star Citizen. I like partaking in dogfights. I'm not that good at them, but I still have fun with it. And when I'm getting my ass kicked by somebody a lot better than me, hopefully there's at least 1 or 2 lessons in there that I can apply further and get a little gradually better with which each of those encounters. So I'm not somebody that is going to go, we need to make sure that PvP and PvE is completely separate in Star Citizen. I want, fucking only cargo hauling to ever happen in safe zones where they can never get targeted by other enemy players that want to take their stuff or hold them for ransom or whatever pirate shit they're trying to do. Like, that's not me. I don't think that's the general vibe of our show. I think some new people might have felt that way on the last episode, but I like to shoot shit in games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And get shot at. Like, so I don't know. I do like the balancing though, because I do understand that there are not just some players, but a lot of players who don't have that same interest in, like, oh, okay, you want to fight? Let's fight. Let's do this. Let's see how it shakes out.
There are those people that
Totally
totally
get
want
it.
to avoid PvP altogether and, have their safe place to play and trade and mine or whatever. And in the future, maybe that Terra is that place where they play. But in the context of Stanton and what we have now, like that, you're never going to be able to completely avoid PvP. And, maybe our title last week is our distribution center is going to be a nightmare. We don't think they're going to be a nightmare, but it was a question we posed to ourselves and anybody listening. And I think that got some comments rolling in, and that's what we want. And that's just the nature of YouTube and content creation. And,
And the title was literally made after the conversation was had, because I think I asked the question, are these things going to be a nightmare in terms of the balancing, right?
Yeah. That's how we do most of our
question. And we
our titles anyway. We go into a episode and we have, things to talk about, I guess, but we don't go, unless it's something very specific, we don't go in with the title in mind, and it kind of comes from the conversation that happens while we're doing this. And,
right.
Like you said, this is a very, very casual back and forth. Sometimes ideas will pop in our heads while we're talking. Sometimes our ideas will change based on what the other one says or comments from the community, whatever. Like, none of this is set in stone, and my opinion can always be changed about things.
Some of us will like the game one week and fucking hate it the next.
Right. So, yeah,
this project is constantly evolving. Everything's always in flux. And there are so many different varied opinions. And I went back and forth with some people in the comments on the last section, and I'm hoping it came across in a respectful tone. I tried to go out of my way to make sure that people knew I was genuinely curious, because I am the type of person, I like to hear opposing views that are going to challenge my own and make me think about my own positions a bit more. And I like the mental engagement of wrestling with different viewpoints. So definitely anytime that you disagree with something we're saying, like, I'm happy to have that conversation with you in the comments, or, maybe it's a specific comment that we actually save to respond to on the air next time, instead of just leaving it in the comments section. But yeah, anytime if there's a disagreeing viewpoint, the only thing that I ask is that you be decent about the way you present it. You know what I mean? And I know I'm naturally kind of I can be very sarcastic, but I try to tone that down a little bit when we're trying to have some open and honest conversation, discussion, and even some debate about this game. That, look, the only way that you're listening to this show, I would imagine, is if you are passionate about Star Citizen and Squadron 42 and, everything that CIG is up to. So we're all here, hopefully, in theory, with a passion for this, and we all want to see this game, I hope, succeed and be the best game that it can be. And part of that process is having disagreements and discussing it. And why does it feel like A is going to work in the game, but B maybe not so much? C, it seems like parts of it could work, but maybe it needs to be tinkered with and put on the back burner for a while, and then they'll reintroduce it and put it into the game later. Like, it's even kind of like what Jared was saying on Star Citizen Live this week. Like, we have to test things to see if they work. That's how this goes. Like, it's the only way the games get made. You have to try ideas. Some of the ideas are great right off the bat and are a natural fit for the project. Other ideas, not so much. And
we're all here because we enjoy the game and we want it to succeed. I guess unless you're one of those people from the refunds Reddit, which if you are and you're listening to this, why are you here? Go do something you enjoy. But
like and subscribe anyway.
Yeah. Leave us that. Subscribe. Argue with us in the comments. I don't care. Whatever. But yeah, we're all here to have fun and discuss the game that we all want to play and enjoy. And everybody's going to have their own opinions on how they want to play the game differently and what they want to do in the game and how it should be done. But ultimately, we're at the mercy of CIG and what Chris wants. And
and hopefully you get that even. And even from like the guests that we've had on the show so far, right? If you think about Skyrider, very engaged with Star Citizen, in the loop, enjoying his time playing the game, right? That was the general vibe of the conversation that we had. And then when we had Sean Von Gone on, you know, he had more of a perspective of there was a time where he was very interested in Star Citizen, but not so much right now. Never say never, but in its current implementation, the current build and state of things, he would just rather play other things right now. And that's okay too. And we want to be, you know, hopefully a channel that can bring together opposing views to have some real honest and respectful conversations about the game.
Yeah.
So that's my goal anyway, you know.
Yep, we're all just here to have fun, talk some video games, and, you know, bounce ideas off of each other and have a good time.
That's maybe exactly. Like, let's maybe we can all from time to time just keep in mind we are talking about a game at the end of the day. It could be worse. There's 2 major wars going on. There's inflation, blah, blah, blah. We're not a political podcast. We won't get into it, but I think it goes without saying the world's not perfect and there's bigger problems than what's going on with the video game. So let's also just kind of keep that at least in the back of our heads when we are deciding with which temperament we're going to communicate with each other about a video game with.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's just in general, right? Like that's not just Star Citizen thing, but the gaming community. Oh my gosh. Like, dude, did you know the console wars are still going on? I actually did not know that until like a few weeks ago. There was some speculation about like some Microsoft exclusives that would be going to Sony or whatever. And then there was just straight up in the comment sections, just Xbox fanboys and PlayStation fanboys just going at it with each other. And it's like, are we all just trying to have some fun playing some video games, regardless of what platform you're doing it on? Like, why is there so much animosity still? It's so silly. These are supposed to be fun things, escape from reality, you know, blow off some steam and spend some quality time either engaging with a story or playing online with your buddies. You know what I mean? Like video games are supposed to be positive.
Yeah, people sometimes put way too much energy into things they don't like when they could be putting energy into things that they do like and letting other people enjoy the things that they like and not, you know, trying to make them not have fun because they're not having fun.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Why are you liking this thing that I'm not liking right now? You're wrong because you got a different opinion. You're not enjoying it how I want to enjoy it. That's how we read the snarky comments in our head. Yeah. Why are you guys having fun? Yeah.
But little
life is short. That's why we're having fun, because life is fucking short.
Little tangent off of distribution centers there, but it's all relative. And just responding to the last video and stuff, you know, we're casual conversations can sometimes, you know, lead us in ways we weren't expecting. And sometimes things don't come across the way we think they are while we're, you know, recording and stuff. So, that's our thoughts on distribution centers. And we talked about them a little bit more in Star Citizen Live, the React, if you guys want to go check that out.
Yeah. I like conversations like these too. You know, I think keeping a pulse on the community is something that I've been enjoying since we've started CommLink, you know, because we're not always necessarily week to week playing the game, but always checking in and seeing what people are talking about and communicating with people. Like on Twitter, I've tried to do a lot more interactions with people on there just to get some more discussion about the game. There's a lot of people making some really cool content that I'm being exposed to as well, whether it's just some of the insanely impressive screenshots that you see get posted or other people's video content, you know. So always engaged with the community, even if not necessarily at all times engaged with the game itself. And I love the Star Citizen community. I think overall 99.9% of the interactions that I've had with other people in Star Citizen have been at the bare minimum neutral, if not positive. I've not had a whole lot of negative interaction. There's some here and there. There's always going to be some trolls and some bad seeds, but overall, it's a pretty positive place. I think, at least in my own experience. So I got a lot of love for the people that are showing up and supporting the project, and also hanging out with us over here at CommLink.
Yeah, that was kind of one of the goals for me anyway, when we started the podcast, was engaging with more people within the community, because that's one of the coolest things about Star Citizen is the community, for me anyway. And whether it's through Twitch or YouTube or whatever spectrum, I like interacting with people, talking to streamers, talking with people in their chat, stuff like that. And I see this as just a way to increase that engagement with different sides of the community, different viewpoints that we might not normally hear or see or whatever. And I think Star Citizen community is one of the best ones out there. And I really want to go to CitizenCon this year and see people in person that I've been watching play the game or whatever for years, and meet some of the devs and stuff. But maybe one of us will stumble across that lottery this year or something, and we'll make it. But
is this the part in the episode where we create a CommLink Cash App account and put the Cash App up on the screen for people to scan and buy our plane tickets?
Donate to our Patreon. we don't even have a Patreon, so it's a running joke.
Yeah,
donate.
I think that's a good fun note to end today's episode on. What do you think?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna turn into a robot and read the script, folks. Here we go. We're wrapping this bad boy up. Stay till the end, though. And that's it for this edition of the CommLink Podcast. Don't forget that the CommLink Podcast releases a new episode weekly featuring discussions about Star Citizen and Squadron 42. The CommLink Podcast can be found on both YouTube and Spotify. In addition to the podcast, be sure to also check out our Star Citizen and Squadron 42 reaction videos on our YouTube channel. You can follow CommLink on Twitter and Instagram. The username for both platforms is @CommLinkPod. We're currently running a giveaway for a Cutter Rambler with LTI. Check out our Twitter page for details pinned at the top. And if you enjoyed today's podcast, like this video and subscribe to the channel for more. Again, big shout out to everybody that subscribed to the channel. We had a lot of growth this week, which is just incredible. So again, the more personalities, the more viewpoints and perspectives that we can include in our conversation about Squadron 42 and Star Citizen, the merrier. So thanks so much, everybody, for being here. And until next time. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Almost doubled our sub count in like a few days. So shout out to anybody hitting that subscribe button. It makes us feel good, like we're having good conversations that people want to engage and hear.
100%.
So, we appreciate every single one of you, for sure.
Yep. Nothing but love. 07s, everybody out there. Until next time, thanks for tuning in. Stay safe and be well.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Ciao.